Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian own, nothing control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the vault, episode 500. How much should a trust cost? Definitely thankful that everybody tunes in live, listens in the replay. Always appreciate it. Just know that your listeners and the content that we provide over at the vault and the people that we come in contact with through the channel here has just been a pure blessing, and it's been exciting, and we're really thankful that we've been able to work with everybody we've been able to work with throughout the years. And so we're going to continue to give out the content and go over things because we've made an impact significantly with families throughout time, and we're going to continue to do that, and we look forward to doing that, whether it's with families or individuals. We've had multiple family members come together through our trustee training program. We actually are planning our next workshop, so just look for it. Right now, we're looking at August, so just be prepared that August is going to be most likely the next workshop. Just kind of prepare mentally for it. Definitely thankful for everybody that tunes in live, listens to replay, and everybody that has attended the workshops. We actually are doing this workshop based off of demand once again. We've done more private webinars recently than doing it publicly. So doing something out at a physical location is definitely something that's going to be exciting to quite a few people that have reached out to the vault and say, hey, we want to get going privately, and we definitely want to meet back in person because there is a lot of value in meeting people personally and directly, and that's because we actually make it a point to bring quality people into the room all the time. Last workshop, we actually had a third generation private trustee in the room, uh, and they're a securities lawyer. They're um, you know, ex-Olympic athlete or Olympic athlete. I can't say ex because it's not really like a career. You just kind of do it and you become it and you are it. So we're thankful for them. Appreciate Levon. We always appreciate you for coming through for the last workshop and really presenting value for people that they talk about it, but then when the rubber meets the road, you got to come out and you got to meet people. You got to shake people's hands and you have to quote unquote network, as people say on the public side. So we're definitely thankful that we're able to connect with people on the private side, able to connect with people on the public side as well. So definitely hit the like and the subscribe button. Always appreciate everybody that subscribes to the channel. Definitely, just it's been growing like crazy. So we just want to continue growing the channel. Period. And so we're always thankful for that. Christian at trustchristian.com is the email for trustee training. We've already got inquiries about people coming to the next workshop, so we'll make it a point to get out the next flyer. We're just finalizing some small details where it's going to be and the date, but we definitely are working on actually doing it, and we just always have to accommodate multiple families traveling from all over the country and literally around the world. So it's just important that we're able to accommodate the families, and it's not always easy when everybody that's in the program may not have that time available. So we're going to make it a point to do our best to make the time available, or just put a date out there, and then we'll rock another one out again maybe before the end of the year here. So just look for August right now. How much should a trust cost? This is this episode, the Vault, episode 500. How much should a trust cost? How much should a trust cost? So this is one of those episodes where we never really talked about it, but we're going to talk about it today because when it comes down to it, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go ahead and say how much it should cost, so you can be blown away and flabbergasted right from the beginning, which is it's supposed to be free. That's the bottom line. It's supposed to be free. In most cases, it's not going to be free. Why? Because the free route is your family passing it along from one generation to the next. That means there was already a generation before you, and they're passing it along. So it's not going to cost you anything. How much should a trust cost? Not going to cost anything. Whereas people that are looking to put together first gen, people that are past first gen, it is what it is. But we're going to make it a point to talk about how much should a trust cost in this particular episode. If you are looking to establish one, we've never done an episode about this, and people reach out all the time via trustee training, and we're going to go over it. So there's different types of trust, ladies and gentlemen. There's public trust, there's private trust, there's over 80 different types of trust. So how much should a trust cost? Well, we're going to talk about it. And whether people know it or not, it's really traditionally in our wealth management environment is generally based off of how much money you make. So a lot of people, it's going to be based off of your income, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be based off of your net worth. Those are some key factors to keep in mind when you're looking at the cost. Some people may say, "Oh, am I just paying for paperwork?" First of all, you can go and literally go down to the law library and get a trust document for free. That's another. It's not free, meaning that it's gonna that you don't spend gas, you don't spend time, or invest gas, or invest time and energy to go get it. Pay for all those things to get there. At the same time, it's at the law library. And the public ones for sure are at the law library, whether y'all want to hear this or not. So when the public attorneys are charging you all for living trust that are truly state compliant, that you can go down to the public law library and actually get the public trust document from the law library. Sure, your document may look like everybody else's in the state. Yep, because it's a public trust document. So you can go down to the law library at your local county. Every county has a local law library. It's going to be a public trust document, most likely, because it's at the public law library. So that's how that works. Nevertheless, if you don't go to the law library and go get one, then let's go over to the attorneys that are just going to charge you here, there, and everywhere. So sure, you can get people contact the vault, and they say, "Oh man, somebody told me I can get a trust document for $500." Man, we've heard that price before. If it's based off of your income, and it's based off of, and if it's based off of your net worth, this is the vehicle that's going to hold that, ladies and gentlemen. Why would it cost $500? It's not to say that because it costs more, it's going to present more value, more asset protection. But wouldn't we want that to be the case? So let's continue walking. If you want to go the cheap route, you got $500 for a document. Sure, you can go to a lawyer and get that. Uh, Once again, we talk to trustees about this all the time when they're enrolling in a program on the public side, because these are public trusts we're talking about right now. Generally, public trust $500 for a document, $1,000 for a document, $1,700 for a document, $2,500 for a trust document. Once again, you think about it. Well, okay, how it's based off of how much money I make and what's my net worth. Well, we got mentors in our sector and business people in our sector that say if you don't have $1 million, you shouldn't even be in trust. That's the first discriminating factor that's going to X someone out on how much it should cost. Because if you have $1 million, whether it's liquid cash or if you have $1 million in net worth, guess what? In our sector, they say you should pay at least 10%. Whether you know it or not, 10%. The people in our sector are charging an arm and a leg for trust. Why? Because they understand what they're helping you do. They're helping you protect assets. They're helping you trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. That's what they're helping you do. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen to replay. Hit the like and the subscribe. Always appreciate everybody that does that so we can continue to grow the channel. How much should a trust cost? Okay, so let's look at it. Sure, they say, oh man, 10%. Well, say we did 2%. If you did 2% of $1 million, it's still $20,000. If your net worth is $1 million, ladies and gentlemen. Net worth. Net worth isn't always liquid. Net worth could be on paper. Oh, I got a house. My house is worth $700,000. My house is worth $500,000. So let's do 10% of that to put the house in trust. Let's do 2% of it, or 10% of it. How much is that going to cost? Just go ahead and calculate that. Let's do it. So we're going to do $500,000. $500,000, 2%. Because this is what it comes down to, ladies and gentlemen. It comes down to just being aware. $10,000. You got a $500,000 house. It's going to cost you $20,000, ladies and gentlemen. Let's relook at that real quick. $500,000. $10,000. If you have a $500,000 house, then they're charging $10,000 to put that house in the trust. That's the bottom line. That's on the public side, ladies and gentlemen. That's not private. You thought your lawyers were doing you a favor by charging you $10,000 and putting your $500,000 house inside of a trust, so no one can take it from you. So when they sue you, the creditors, the people that are suing you, They can't come after your house. So they don't put your wife and your children out on the street, fellas. That's what happens. They charge you 10,000. So you're walking around with an asset, but really it's a liability. Why? Because it's not protected. So on the public side, these guys are charging you 2%. 2% of $500,000 is $10,000, ladies and gentlemen. They're charging you that. So you talking about that on the public side, 10,000. You see how that jumped real quick from 500? You see how fast that jumped from $2,000 to $10,000 to protect a $500,000 asset. Now, ladies and gentlemen, whether y'all know it or not, bank and trust, insurance and trust, they go together. So if you're going to be in trust, if you're going to have assets, you're going to protect them with the insurance policy. The trust is a form of an insurance policy. This isn't legal advice or financial advice. This is having a conversation. Why? Because when you talk to your politicians, aren't they in trust? When you talk to your elites, aren't they in trust? Yeah. Highest form of protection. That's why they're in it. How much should a trust cost if you're protecting a $500,000 asset? Oh man, well, I don't have a $500,000 house, but I'm making $80,000 a year. So we'll do 2% of 80K. Really, we could do 2% of 100K. The average American's not making $80,000 a year, but we're going to say what it is. It's okay. $80,000. Oh, so you got out of you can get out of certain things, lower liabilities, minimize liabilities by $1,600. When you reach out to the vault, you're making 80K is 2%. That's on the public side. That's not the private side. See, there's strategic advantages for being private. We did an episode about that. There's difference between public and private. And there's a cost disparity too. Private are going to cost more. But you don't need to be scared. Oh man, it's going to cost me a ton of money because I know it's not public now. I know it's private. First of all, the public one's at the public law library for free. So you didn't even have to spend that or invest that. But on the private side, now you're acquiring private information. That comes with an education. That's why we do trustee training, because we're not here to sell trust. That's not the purpose of it. The purpose is to put you in a position or have families in positions where they can have their children be successors. That's called trustee training. Appreciate New York for tuning in live, listen, replay. Feel free to type into the chat. Always appreciate everybody that types into the chat whether they're listening live, listening to replay. It seems like people from New York are always looking to let us know that they're listening up for New York, and we always appreciate that. And clearly, you can see why people are tuning in from New York. New York has one of the highest state taxes for employees, has one of the highest taxes in general, period. They have one of the highest taxes. These people have to make a lot of money, but yeah, are they in the correct position? Are they doing it from the public perspective, or are they doing it from the private perspective? They could go down to a law library and go get a public trust and still have issues. Not to say they can't in a private. It's different though. There's a higher level of privacy. We're living in the age of, there's no privacy anymore. Oh, really? Why are there things called private corporations? Why are there people called private citizens? Do you know how to be one? Right. You actually have to pay for the education. You have to invest in your education, which really is investing in yourself. How much should a trust cost? Appreciate Louisiana for tuning in live, listening, replay. Always appreciate Louisiana for tuning in live, listening, replay. And we could definitely do an episode, most likely specific to Louisiana, because they're one of the few states in the union that they move a little bit differently when it comes to how their state is set up. It's not a traditional common law state. It's a Napoleonic state. A lot of people might not know that if you don't live there, but they don't have counties. They have parishes. See, we deal with trustees all over the country and the world. So we're not unfamiliar with Louisiana. And you can actually do business in Louisiana and outside of Louisiana, but it has to be a specific way. And traditionally, it's not going to be favorable in the public. Why? Because it's a Napoleonic jurisdiction. Unbeknownst to most people. Appreciate the Bay Area for California for tuning in live, listen, and replay. Always appreciate the Bay Area, California for tuning in live, listen, and replay. Definitely hit the like and subscribe. We got Missouri tuning in live, listening to replay. Appreciate Missouri for tuning in live, listening to replay. How much should a trust cost? Well, okay, we talked about it on the public side. Well, we're gonna go 2%. You think if you're gonna have $1 million, you're gonna go into a $1,500 vehicle? You think that? You think if you have let's just say you're making 100K a year, that means in 10 years you're definitely gonna make 1 million. But the thing about it is, and everybody knows, there's a thing called taxes. You're not really making 80. You're not really making 100. Well, how can a trust help me out if I have a job? Asset protection, lowering your liabilities, turning your life into a business. Your family is a business now. It's not an expense. You want to keep benefiting from the government's write-offs, or you want to benefit from the fact that the country was founded in trust? How much should a trust cost? Well, on the public side, they're going to cost less. Private side, they're going to cost more. We've already talked about the public side and the ranges. When we talk about the private side, see, the thing about it is, where you going to go? You're going to go to a public lawyer and say, hey, I need you to create a private trust for me. And you're going to run into a roadblock because it's not going to be private if that attorney does it for you. Why? Because the attorney's in the public, traditionally. Won't you all reach out to public attorneys this week? We'll do an episode later on in the week and we'll get some feedback. So definitely hit the like and subscribe. We'll do one later in the week. Feel free to reach out Christian at trustchristian.com and we'll make sure we get you on the email list so we can let you know when the episode is going to be, so we can share with you all the feedback when you go to a public attorney and say, I need a private trust. And what are they going to say to you? They're going to look at you a little sideways. Oh, you need a trust? And it's private? Well, we don't do that here. Or we're not too sure about that here. Or that's a specific way of doing something, so we got to specifically figure out how to do it. Because anybody can go get that, whether you know it or not, the public attorney is going to go down to that law library and get that public trust document for you. Whether y'all know it or not, that public attorney is going to use some template from a paralegal from the public law library that you can get for free. How much should a trust cost? Well, on the private side, the vault, we provide trustee training. Trustee training definitely should cost you for sure at least 2% of your portfolio. Why? Because you're getting into what's called an asset manager. So you make the 80K is 1,600 minimum. Trustee training is over a 12-week program for most of our trustees, but we also have foundations. See, it's interesting that, for years now we've been stuck on trust. We've been talking about trust, and then we also we come back and parry back with the foundation. We had a whole channel steal our concept. It's fine. You can't steal what's infinite, but they did. Welcome to the foundation. Sure they did. Oh man, it's the trust stuff. Nah, well, we went over foundations with them. They went through the training, and now it's welcome to the foundation. Now it's the foundation training. Well, we do that at the vault. We have foundation training, so we're not stuck in trust because wealthy people don't give their children money. Your children aren't going to be the beneficiaries. So yes, it's going to go away. Maybe people give assets away to foundations. Like Warren Buffett has said, or any of the other greats say, oh, I'm not going to give money directly to my children. I'm going to give it to a charity. Sometimes people think it's a charitable remainder trust. That's not the way that we operate at the vault or with our trustee training program, but we're very familiar with that. And we actually send out information comparing that to what we deal with our families in the foundations, because they're different. Sure, there's a bunch of different types of trust out there. There's also other forms of charities. One of them's called a foundation. So when you hear wealthy people say, oh, I'm not going to give money directly to my children, and they're going to give it to a charity, now we have a clue on what they're talking about. And that's what we talk about and train our trustees over at the vault. So how much should that cost? How much should the system cost? Oh man, Trust Christian in the vault. I'm not trying to spend more than $3,000. Some people may say that. So, $3,000 doesn't sound like you making a lot of money. You can go get the public one for free. But the private one, it could cost you about $3,000. It could cost you about $5,000. It could cost you $10,000 if you're trying to protect $1 million asset on the private side. If you don't have $1 million, then you're not worried about 10,000. But if you're holding less than that in assets, how can you ask for the vehicle, which is an asset protection vehicle, to be cheap? This is a question to people that say they want to be wealthy. We hear this whole push right now in America and the States. Oh, generational wealth, generational wealth. If generational wealth is passed along in a trust, ladies and gentlemen, how you generational wealth mindset talking about, oh yeah, I don't want to spend more than $1,500. Oh yeah, I'm going generational wealth. I don't want to spend more than $2,500 investing in your literally your asset protection vehicle. Oh man, I don't want to spend more than $5,000 in asset protection when I'm trying to protect more than $100,000 asset or more than a $500,000 asset. And now we're talking private. We're not talking about the public one. You can go down to public law library and get for free that the lawyers are going to give you. They didn't tell you that though. You can hit the like now and you can definitely subscribe because that's what the lawyer's going to do. The lawyer's going to go down there and go get a paralegal and they're going to draft up the document from the law library. You can go to the law library. So people say, oh, how you do it? You go to the public law library. You ask the public law librarian, where are the public trust templates at? And then you go in there and you get the public trust template for that state. That's a public trust. That's not a private one. So how much should it cost in the private sector? Whether you know it or not, it's not about the papers. It's not about the documents. It's about the education that comes with it with the vault. That's what it's about. That's all it's going to come down to. Because at the vault, we provide trustee training. You want to get into trustee training? Want to enroll in trustee training? Want to inquire about trustee training? It's Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, it's Christian at trustchristian.com. So we can wrap this up here. How much should a trust cost you on the private side? Right now, we have a 30-day enrollment program that we're working with our trustees. And so it's not necessarily discounted because why would you be discounting generational wealth? It's interesting to see people reach out and have that type of philosophy or thought process. Oh yeah, what they say, just wanting to get it for the cheap ski. Oh man, I heard about it through the internet. I heard about their private sector through the internet. So I'm trying to get in private trustee training and I want to do that for less than, $2,000. Not going to happen. If somebody wants the education alone, definitely you can do that. But what happened to the trust? You wanted the trust, right? Isn't that what you wanted? You wanted the document, right? You want the asset protection, right? You want to trust Christian, own nothing, control everything, right? Yeah, that's going to be more than two. Nothing wrong with that, ladies and gentlemen. You got to pay to play to have generational wealth. First of all, the first thing in generational wealth building is the vehicle, is the trust, is the asset protection. So you think that should cost you less than $2,000? Oh man, I'm trying to pay less than my rent. I got $2,000 rent. I'm trying to be in trust for less than $2,000. I got a house. The mortgage, I want it to be less than my mortgage. My mortgage, $1,800. I want it to be less than that. But the house cost over $300. So let's do 2% of $300K. Let's go there, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go there. 2% of $300K. $300K. That's $6,000. You got a $300,000 home that you're living in. Oh, I want to go in trust Christian vault. I want to be in private trust Christian in the vault. Yep. I got a $300,000 house I'm living in though. If I sell it, I'm going to make me some money. Right. And then when you're in it, we tell you a measly 2%. And somebody says, "Oh man, I ain't got $6,000 trust Christian in the vault." You're right. Now you know why people don't pass along a house from one generation to the next, because they did it wrong. They went out, they used hypothecation to get a property. That means they got a property without having all the money. That's what that's called. They got a house that has an interest payment on it, and they're in that house and they didn't really pay all the value up front. Okay, we're not going there on this whole UCC vigilante Stuff that they got that they reach out to the vault all the time. Oh, well, the bank can't own a house and the bank can't lend a house and the bank can't lend money, whatever. We're not talking to them today. We get those questions and those consultations all the time. Let's talk to the ones that are going to say, hey, you know what, Trust Christian Vault, I'm a hardworking individual. My mom, people reach out to us all the time. My mom, she's got a house. My family, they got a house. And we're trying to protect it. You're trying to protect your family estate. It's worth over $300,000. You go to the bank, 2%. They're going to tell you $6,000. Oh, is it a payment plan for that? Is that what you're going to ask them? At the vault, you're not just getting that. You're getting a training. You're getting consultations. You're getting resources. You're getting those private attorneys that when you go to the attorneys and you say, oh, when you go to your public attorneys and say, I need a private trust, and they tell you, oh, no, we don't know how to do that. Or, oh, it's going to cost you this, it's going to cost you that. Now you know. It's going to cost. So, is the private sector $6,000? For a $300,000 asset, whether you know it or not, our trustee training is definitely not that. It just depends. We have an accredited investor price and we have an unaccredited investor price. People say, oh, what's a accredited investor? Accredited investor is somebody that has $1 million net worth and has over $200,000, $200,000, 250 actually, $250,000 annually for 3 years in a row, minimum. If you're not an accredited investor, ladies and gentlemen, the whole premise of this channel is to work with unaccredited investors to a degree. Why? Because that's how we started out. A lot of people start from zero. Right. But should it be free? No. Because you're actually, some people say, well, how do I build a trust if I just get in trust? How can I build it and I don't have anything to put in it right away? That's the best part about it. You're starting out at zero. Now you have to really flex your muscles as a trustee. Now you have to show your skills as a trustee. Now, this isn't job mentality. This isn't come in and sit on assets. This is come in and grow generational wealth. The whole thing that they're bragging about in the public nowadays. Oh, generational wealth. Well, I'm a generational steward. Well, if you're a generational wealth steward, the first gen, if you're going to put up the money, it could cost anywhere in the private sector, $2,500, $5,000, maybe even $10,000. But see, the worst part about it is people don't really want to know. We got guys that we know that are selling trusts for $55,000. One. Oh, it's a generational wealth skipping trust. Okay. There's over 80 different ones. So is that the only one that can do that? No. But they selling it for $55K. And they don't care how much money you have. They don't care how much money you have. These guys we know, they'll tell you $55,000. And if not, take a leap. People don't want to hear that though. So when we have people that contact us, because see, people think, oh man, Trust Christian Vault, you didn't show your face on the channel, which we did. We interviewed a lawyer on the channel. You can go look at the episode. Oh well, we didn't see this, we didn't see that. Okay. At the same time, we know what we're doing. We've worked with trustees for many years now. People reach out all the time that have over $1 million. See, people don't want to know that people that are professional athlete has reached out to the vault. Multiple professional athletes have gone through the training. They don't want to know celebrities have gone through the training. They don't want to know that. Oh man, you got to do all the goofy stuff in the public. You got to do the gimmicks. You got to do a deal. Ain't no deals going generational wealth. A deal, you're giving yourself a deal when you invest in your private education. That's what you're doing. How you gonna say, oh, we didn't have the celebrities reach out? We had an Olympic athlete at a workshop. That's a celebrity. That's a professional athlete. They're in private trust. They're in private family foundations. Oh, it's supposed to be cheap though, huh? Okay. It's not. So yes, be on the lookout for our next workshop. Most likely we're doing it in August. Just finalizing some details. Be on the lookout for it. And we're going to do our best actually to bring maybe that individual back in the room. Maybe we won't. Um, but nevertheless, how much should it cost? You can expect a 2% net worth fee. Now, whether you know it or not, that's generally assessed to people that are accredited investors. That means they made the 250 plus. That means they have the $1 million in net worth plus. Those people usually get the percentages. Whereas at the vault, we had to come up with a flat rate for the trustees that weren't accredited investors because it ranges. Actually, it just ranges, and really, it's more about the training than it is the actual trust itself. So, that's where you're really getting the cost because you're getting the value of private trustee, private access to private lawyers, getting access. You can go back and listen to the accounting episode that we did with an enrolled agent. You can go back and listen to, many of those type of episodes. So how much should it cost? It's a flat rate for trustee training. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the trust because that's what people really want. They want to be in trust, right? I just want to be in trust. Go contact your lawyer. Contact a lawyer. Contact many lawyers. Feel free to reach out. And then let us know what they said. And it's almost, we will price match. But just know, it's not about a trust. It's about the training. How are you going to train your successors? Are the lawyers going to train your successors? Or is the lawyer trying to be your successor when you die and make the trust go through some type of court so they can administer the assets through court on the public side and give the judge lawyer fees and give the court lawyer fees because they're public attorneys? That's why. So we know exactly what we're doing at the vault when it comes to trustee training. And we're very effective at helping people protect their assets. $300,000 homes. It could be businesses. We got people in the training right now for sure that have $1 million business. People may say, oh man, how come these people aren't on the internet? First of all, we've done testimonials. We actually started doing testimonials with the people. Say, you know what, we're going to bring a real voice on here outside of the Trust Christian in the Vault. And we actually have some newer voices. But the worst part about it is private trustee training. So we do our best to, when trustees come into training, it's a non-disclosure agreement. We're not here to, sell them. It's literally they got in. They want a purpose. They want a solution to a problem that they have. Sure, these people have millions of dollars. Oh man, I didn't see a bunch of views on the channel like that. I saw some views, but so you trying to tell me out of those views, you trying to tell me a multi-millionaire has reached out to the vault and got going through the trustee training program? Yes, many times. We have been all over the country. We've done workshops all over the country. People have sat in a room with multi-millionaires at our workshops multiple times. We have people that have huge medical businesses, people that have huge real estate businesses, people that have over 10 businesses that are all revenuing over 6 figures. That can get a little hairy. That's why we don't need to do episodes. That's why we don't need to be out here shaking our tail feathers. We're just coming out. We're talking about value. What's wrong with being in trust? Nothing's wrong with it. But let the public tell you there's something wrong with privacy. Why do you want to be private? What are you trying to hide? That's what's going to cost you, that education, so you can be fully aware and programmed, quote unquote, on how to do it properly and pass along assets from one generation to the next. How much should a trust cost you to pass along assets from one generation to the next? If it's in the public, it's a significant amount. In the private, there is no cost. Well, did you know that? There is no cost. How much should a trust cost to pass along assets to your children? Zero. It's supposed to be free. How much was it supposed to be if you got into it? Free. Why? Because your parents or your family was supposed to have one set up and put you in it, quote unquote. But if they didn't, you know. It's time to invest in the private education. We look forward to hearing from you all, even at our next workshop. The email you can reach out to is christian@trustchristian.com. Once again, the email is christian@trustchristian.com. And if you think that, oh man, just the email is what's kept the channel going, yes. We didn't need a website. Oh man, I need to see some more information. I'm trying to get some more information. That's why you invest in your education. The public side is free. The private side, it's going to cost. But whether y'all know it or not, it's not even super expensive. It's not. Because at the vault, you're not paying for a trust. It's trustee training. We look forward to hearing from you all. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. Peace and joy.